Now to another big story we're tracking. Secretary of State Marco Rubio is heading to Saudi Arabia this morning. This is ahead of tomorrow's talks between the U.S. and Ukrainian officials on ending the war in Ukraine. For more on this, let's speak now with CBS News senior foreign correspondent Holly Williams. She's tracking the story from Lviv in Ukraine. Holly, bring us up to speed on where these talks stand ahead of this meeting. How close are we to any agreement in ending the conflict?
Good morning, Errol. Well, look, it's been 10 days since that explosive meeting between President Volodymyr Zelensky and President Trump in Washington, during which Zelensky's gratitude was called into question. Following that, the U.S. suspended the delivery of military aid and intelligence sharing with Ukraine. Both of those are vital to this country's defence. Yesterday, Trump said that the pause on intelligence sharing had just about been lifted, but didn't give any further details about what he meant by that. Meanwhile, diplomatic wheels are turning. Ahead of that meeting in Saudi Arabia tomorrow, a senior U.S. official says that Ukraine wants to move forward. And President Zelensky is in Saudi Arabia today. Here in Ukraine, though, there is a sort of deep anxiety about President Trump's upending of U.S. support 3 years after Vladimir Putin invaded this country. Last month, Trump inaccurately called Zelensky a dictator. In fact, one Ukrainian poll found that trust in Zelensky has soared to 68% here in Ukraine following his public dressing down at the White House. Now, Zelensky stressed over the weekend that his country has always wanted peace. But the fear in Ukraine and Europe is that Vladimir Putin could use a ceasefire to buy time and then invade again in the future. And to stop that happening, they want the U.S. to contribute to security guarantees. Errol?
All right, Holly Williams, thank you for that. For more on the diplomatic efforts to bring the war in Ukraine to an end, I'm joined by Michael O'Hanlon. He's a senior fellow at Brookings. That's an American think tank that conducts social science research. Great to have you joining us from Rochester this morning. So these talks in Saudi Arabia, as we've just mentioned, take place more than a week after that very public dispute between President Zelensky and Trump. Considering what we've seen since then with the lack of intelligence sharing and other things and changes in policy from the White House, do you think this meeting will be enough to get things back on track?
Good morning. I don't think it will be enough by itself, no, because I don't think the Trump team has quite decided how they want to use their leverage against President Zelensky. And Russia's a very important player here as well, and obviously the bigger problem. And Russia hasn't indicated any willingness to have a ceasefire lines. And so it's fine to say that we want Zelensky to be more grateful for wanting to remind President Zelensky that in fact Ukraine does depend on the United States for crucial assistance, and that Zelensky has to therefore listen to us and our advice. That's fair, but just saying that is not going to produce a peace process or certainly an actual peace. So until the Trump team figures out a little bit more specifically what it's demanding, I don't know that there can be a quick resolution.
Trump remarked that Zelensky doesn't hold the cards. Since then, Zelensky has been backed by the major powers in Europe to say they will try to continue defense spending. Does Zelensky hold more cards than Trump alluded to?
Well, I think President Trump had a fair point, and I'm no defender of Mr. Trump's approach overall, but I think what he's basically saying is Ukraine does not have the cards to retake the 20% of its territory that Russia currently holds, or nearly 20%. And the idea of fighting until all contested lands are liberated, all Ukrainian lands stolen by Russia, the idea of fighting until they're all liberated is unrealistic. It may be morally justifiable, it may be strategically preferable, but it's not going to happen. And in that sense, I think President Trump has put his finger on an important reality. However, like I said before, Russia still wants more of Ukraine than it currently holds, and it wants to be able to dictate the way Ukraine behaves in the future, even though Ukraine is a sovereign, independent country. And on those points, I don't think Russia has anything to be said in its defense. Mr. Putin should not get support from Mr. Trump on any of that. And in fact, most of the world is still with Ukraine. And so in that sense, Ukraine does have the cards. The world wants an independent, sovereign.
All right, Michael O'Hanlon. Just a few technical issues with your audio, but we appreciate you joining us this morning and sharing your insight. Thank you very much.